Yeah, so I'm Michael Schofield. I'm the landlord of the Shepherd's Dog pub on Otley Road. I'm standing as the Liberal Democrat candidate in the next coming up elections for the Unitary Council in May. Moved up Harlow Hill when I was 8. Lived up here most of my life. Moved away down to Bilton for a short period of time. Then my wife and I moved back up here. Both our children attended Rossett Acre. My daughter is at Rossett High. My son's at grammar school. I've worked a lot with the Rossett Acre PTA, doing their pantomime as the Dame, raising funds for them, which we've just finished this weekend, which was a great blast. Well done to everybody who did that and supported us. So there you go.
And the area you're standing for then, because I think the sort of the patches, if you like, have changed, haven't they, with the going to a unitary council there. And your area is potentially getting quite bigger, isn't it? Quite a bit bigger with the new houses.
It is, yes. So I mean, the ward itself becomes Harlow Hill and St George's, and then potentially, I suppose, with the proposed Western Parameter Plan, yes, it would increase by another 4,000. So it would be possibly the biggest, or one of the biggest wards areas within the Harrogate district, and probably when it comes to the unitary council, probably one of the biggest wards in the whole council, I would assume.
And these elections are quite different, really, isn't it? Because people are actually going to be elected for a full 5 years, so it will be a year kind of in transition, if you like, and then it'll be another 4 years as a unitary council, as a councillor. What's kind of driven you to want to stand then? I know everyone's story is a bit different.
No, so to be fair, for me, I personally think Harrogate Borough Council has let us down massively over the years. And now that it's becoming a unitary council, I do worry that we'll get swallowed up. And so it needs a strong voice, somebody who really cares and is committed to their area, to stand up and be counted, really. And because I'm quite an inquisitive person, I won't be letting anybody rest on their laurels. I will be fighting for every person who lives within the ward and also Harrogate to make sure that we have a strong voice on the unitary council.
And I think it's fair to say it's an area of Harrogate that's had quite a lot of news items recently, isn't it? With cycleways, with building. Are there particular issues, specific to your area that you think need to be looked at?
There's quite a lot. I mean, to be fair, I think we have had our fair share of housing developments, and I do think it's about time we had a bit of a respite up here, because the road itself, Otley Road, on a morning and on an evening is just so heavily congested. When you look at the congestion, you're looking at the pollution that brings. So to me, with all these new housing, it's about getting people out of the car. So with the new schools, or with the pupils that come, we have to work out how we can get them to school without them all being in cars and everybody driving. So let's look at giving free bus passes to all children going to school. And it should be all children, not just those who live so far away. Because nowadays, of course, at secondary school, we're blessed in Harrogate with our education. I think. I disagree with what Ofsted say about our schools. I think they're all absolutely superb. I'd much rather have my children go to school in Harrogate than I would in certain other areas of the country, which I know that sounds awful, but we're blessed with our education in Harrogate. But if we can get the kids and the parents to get the kids to go to school on a bus, on the electric buses that Transdev provide, and we can help support that, it's helping the green issues, which when you listen to the news today or going forward, the youngsters of today are so switched on about the earth, eco and things like that. Greta, some people love, some people loathe. She's given a voice to people who never had a voice. My party let that age group down years ago when we had the coalition with the Conservative Party. I make no bones about saying that. That's when I left the party back then, because I was disgusted with how we let the youngsters down when it came to the university fees and things like that. Under Ed Davey, I think we're getting our ideas back, and so I'm back on board with my party, and I think it's about time we started engaging with that age group again, because they are it's a bit of a cliche, but they are the future. They have a strong voice. They know their mind. So let's get on board with that. They understand that the green issues are the biggest issues going today, apart from, say, the war in Ukraine and things like that, which I'm not wanting to put down. In our country, it is the green issues, and the children are just so switched on.
And you obviously stand in as a Liberal Democrat candidate. Why have you decided to go on for Lib Dems rather than another party or an independent?
So, the Liberal Democrats in Harrogate, historically, I believe, have done a great job in Harrogate and supporting Harrogate. From when Phil Willis was our MP to our local councillors such as Pat Marsh, who has a very strong voice, who doesn't let anything go. I think she's fantastic. And I do think, as a party, we are more tenacious and more open than any other party. Labour and Conservatives, in my opinion, are quite a closed shop. Trying to talk to them about anything, you're not going to get any information or real information out of them that you really want. Whereas the Lib Dems, well, we're liberal. we're quite open, I think. And that's what I want to promote, transparency.
And when, if you were to be elected then, how would you kind of engage with people? Would you do it in a different way? Would you make yourself, more available? So
the lucky thing is, with me being local, with me living up the hill and having the pub, anybody can get me all the time. On my literature, there's my phone number and my email address. I will respond to everybody as quickly as possible. I can be seen walking my dog. I'm not going to hide away. It's all about, yes, there's going to be tough decisions, especially with it becoming a unitary council. There are going to be some unpopular decisions made, which I will have to stand by. And people have the right to come and question me. If they're going to put their faith in me, then I have to put myself out there to be spoken to, spoken at, asked questions of, and you've got to take it on the chin. But if you're there at the front, you've got to lead from the front, and you've got to take on board what anybody says to you, really, and you've got to be open for everybody.
And part of being a councillor then is not just your particular area. Then is to kind of represent Harrogate as a whole. The Harrogate town centre, and I think we all know that people are very vocal, very passionate about the town centre or what it should be or shouldn't be. Do you have particular views about the town centre?
If I had my way, I'd turn it back to the 1980s with a market hall, but that's by the by. History's gone. We've got to go with how things are moving forward. I'm not a fan of the new plan because I don't think that will stop people going into the town centre. All it will do will funnel, and it'll just make it even more congested, so it will stop people going into the town centre. We have to make the public transport, again, like I say, more attractive for people to use. The problem is in the town centre now, the shops aren't what they used to be. When I was growing up in Harrogate, it was a destination. I know we use the destination Harrogate phrase. Unfortunately, in my opinion, it isn't a destination at the moment, unless you want a coffee or go do your banking or, I don't know, say find a mobile phone or a vape. That's all it seems to be to me now. Gone are the days that you can go and do all your Christmas shopping. People used to come from Leeds, but we've been left behind by York and Leeds with their shopping centres. And when St James's Retail Park was set up, in my opinion, that should have been a whole lot better. It shouldn't just be cars. That should have been our version of Clifton Moor. That really should have been our destination. That should have been a destination for people shopping, get everything there. Yes, that takes away from the town centre, but it gives us more focus and more retail units. The Harrogate town centre, the Victoria Gardens, bit of a white elephant. Yes, I've seen different plans for what we could do with it. There's loads of things we could use that for. The rates, people's rents. I think BID do a great job. Harrogate BID, from what I've read, from what they do for people, I think they're superb. And I think they could do with more support from the council. And I'd be all for getting on board with them to see how we can improve the town centre, because they do come up with some very good initiatives. And I do think instead of us all fighting against each other, we should be all working together for the end goal of making Harrogate the best place it can be, because it's a wonderful town. And you can be in the town centre and then 5 minutes later you could walk up here and you're into the countryside. I mean, you can't do that in Leeds, you can't do that in York. It's only in Harrogate. It's a great thing to have.
So we've got until the 5th of May, I think,
it is, yes, yeah.
And hopefully we can run some further news items, but how can people contact you or find out a bit more about your campaign and what you're standing
sure.
for?
So you can probably look on our website, the Liberal Democrat website. I'm going out from next week. I start my campaigning, going around knocking on doors. What I would say to people is, I know not a lot of people, some people don't like people knocking on the door, but please welcome us and tell us what you really think. Don't hold back, because if you hold back, then I'm not getting a true picture of what everybody really feels, and I need a true picture of how everybody feels, because that's the only way I can represent everybody. My literature, I've got another leaflet coming out this week, which I start to deliver myself and my team this week, which then does outline what I stand for, the fact that I will be asking questions. A bit like yourself, I will be asking difficult questions if I'm elected, and if I'm not elected, then whoever is elected will have me on their back for the next 5 years, because I'll want to know what they're doing, and if they go silent, I'll be raising that, because nobody should be silent.